Naturally, I did not know what Trump was about to announce. I don't have this kind of insider information. But I was just seeing that there was this technical setup for the price of copper to top at around $6 per ounce. And I was asking, will we see this incredible reversal in the price of copper? And yesterday, it manifested itself in this incredible 20% single day decline in the price of copper. It fell all the way to $4.50 per pound.
U.S. copper plunges as Trump tariffs exclude refined metal. The U.S. copper market suffered its largest intraday fall on record after President Donald Trump shocked traders by exempting the most widely imported form of copper from his planned tariffs. Tariffs of 50% will apply to imports of semi-finished copper products starting on August 1st, but not to imports of refined metal, the White House said on Wednesday. U.S. copper's futures on COMEX plunged 20% after the announcement. Until Wednesday afternoon, U.S. copper prices had been trading around 25% above the benchmark copper futures on the London Metal Exchange, as traders anticipated the tariff would be applied to all refined metal imports. This decision is the latest surprise from Trump to upend the copper market. When the U.S. president first flagged the likelihood of tariffs earlier this year, he triggered a surge in U.S. copper prices relative to the rest of the world and set off a race to ship copper to the U.S. to beat the tariffs, delivering substantial profits to some of the world's biggest metals traders. Oren, what do you think about what's going on with the copper market right now?
Yes. So, an important insight that I want everybody to understand is that sometimes the setup, the technical setup is already there, the move is already in the cards, and then the explanation for it, the justification for it presents itself after the fact. And this is exactly what we've seen with copper lately. I mean, if you look at the chart of copper, the price of copper, it has bottomed during 2020, during the onset of COVID. And since then, it had this tremendous rally. It rallied from $2.50 per pound all the way to $6 per pound. So you can chart like as though this channel, which began in 2003. And if you connect the dots, you could see that the price of copper was about to reach the top of that channel. And I was asking, could this be the top for copper? Now, naturally, I did not know what Trump was about to announce. I don't have this kind of insider information. But I was just seeing that there was this technical setup for the price of copper to top at around $6 per ounce. And I was asking, will we see this incredible reversal in the price of copper? And yesterday, it manifested itself in this incredible 20% single day decline in the price of copper. It fell all the way to $4.50 per pound. Now, again, the official explanation is that now raw copper is exempt from tariffs, and that's why you don't have to hoard it. It's going to be fine. But I'm suspecting that there is more to it than that, because copper is such an important industrial resource. And if its price is falling, and if it's going to break down and start trending down to the bottom of this channel, this could be indicating that we are entering a period of weakness in the global economy. There is a reason why copper is called Dr. Copper. They say that copper has a PhD in economics because, of course,
Yes.
it's such an important industrial resource. When its price is falling, it's an indication that the global economy is not doing well.
Well, you called it in that tweet from about 7 days ago. And so, how far could you see it falling? Are you thinking down to about $3.50 potentially?
Yes, I can see it over the period of a year or two. It's not going to happen overnight. I
Okay.
see it trending towards $3 per pound. Now, this, of course, can happen in an environment of an extreme economic crisis, a deflationary crisis, in which you get less industrial demand, and so the prices are falling. Now, I do know that there's very little supply of copper, and there was this narrative that, we have this electrical revolution, we're going to electrify the world, we need lots of copper in order to do that. That was the driver behind this rally in the price of copper. But if we are entering a recession, if we are entering this weakness in the global economy, then you need less copper, and then I expect prices to fall, even though we still do have inflation.
Just because there's so much less production of things that require copper.
Yes, at least temporarily, at least at the initial stages of this crisis. Later, when the Fed reacts to this crisis, starts lowering interest rates and starts printing dollars again, then you may get a recovery in the prices of all commodities, including the price of copper. But at least at the initial stages, you could see a major decline. Now, there's a very interesting chart that I published just today. It's an indicator which shows you the ratio between the price of copper and the price of gold. Now, why is this such an interesting indicator? Because, of course, copper is primarily an industrial metal and gold is primarily a monetary metal. And when copper outperforms gold, that means the economy is doing well. You have more industrial demand. And when gold outperforms copper, that means these are bad times in which people are seeking a safe haven asset, such as gold, and there's less industrial demand for copper.
That makes sense. And a 20% drop in price in one day is just brutal. So my heart goes out to anyone who was in copper. Sorry that happened. And just heed the warning because we haven't reached the floor yet based on this chart.
Yes. Now, if we look at the copper to gold ratio, the long-term copper to gold ratio, we can see that ever since the financial crisis of 2008, we've entered this, what we call a falling wedge. This signifies to me, the attempts of the global economy to recover. But it was bouncing up and down between those two falling trend lines. And you can see that whenever you hit the lower trend line, that indicates a period of weakness. For instance, in 2020, during the time of COVID, you've seen that ratio bottom. But in 2021, we managed to break out of that wedge, and it seemed as though after COVID, it seemed as though the global economy is recovering. It seems as though we're going to have some growth again. So the ratio broke out. And for a while, it was consolidating. It was retesting the upper trend line, the upper boundary of that wedge, which seemed to be healthy. It was as though rounding out, signifying that the global economy is recovering, it's headed toward growth. But then during 2024, in October 2024, this ratio broke down back into the wedge. That's a very bad technical signal. If you are able to break out of a pattern and then you fall back into it, that's extremely negative. And what happened just in recent days is that this ratio got rejected again from the upper trend line of this wedge. And you can just see how low it is right now. It has fallen almost as low as the COVID lows. Back then, when the global economy was shut down and we thought that the world was ending. And you can
Right.
see that the ratio between copper and gold is almost as low as it was back then.
So this is a really bad sign for the overall economy.
Yes, I think so. By the way, this is an indicator which was popularized by the famous Jeffrey Gundlach.
Okay.
And I'm guessing that many professionals in Wall Street are watching this ratio. And perhaps the realization is creeping in that the narrative of growth is perhaps not as sound as we thought. and that we are entering a slowdown in spite of that amazing GDP print that we've just had.
That's interesting. So the professionals who might be looking at this could be considering moving into commodities like gold or silver now.
Yes, exactly. If we do get increasing signs of weakness in the global economy, I can certainly see the leading people in Wall Street starting to head towards the exit, reduce their exposure to stocks and bonds, and invest in gold and silver, undervalued assets, which can serve as safe havens during a recession. Thank you for listening to the Silver Hermit podcast. If you like this content, please donate in the link which appears in the description below. Please subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends and family. Hit the bell icon to be notified whenever I release a new video. Remember, I'm not a licensed financial advisor. This video is intended for general informational purposes only and should not be regarded as investment advice. Before taking any investment decision, please consult with a professional financial advisor who may assess your personal investment objectives and needs.